Scott, stand easy. Strays Federation Guard! Attention! Guard! Shoulder! Arms! Strays Federation Guard! General salute! Present! Arms! Guard! Shoulder! Arms! Order! Arms! Guard! Shoulder! Arms! Strays Federation Guard! General salute! Present! Arms! Sergeant Lieutenant Jamie Eltes from Australia's Federation Guard. The Guard and band are ready for inspection, sir.
to Beijing, you would know. He's doing a good job. Very good job. Has played an important role in bringing our relations back to China. He's a very good man. This is Andy Serena, who's representing the traditional owners of First Nation people and Aboriginal. State Councillor, Secretary of the State Council. Minister of Science Technology. Welcome. He's a great scientist. He has warm hands. What a cold. Science technology warm the world.
Guard! Shoulder! Arms! Straight Federation Guard! National salute! Present! Arms! Guard! Shoulder! Arms! Order! Arms!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Australia's Parliament House for this signing ceremony in the presence of the Honourable Anthony Albanese MP, Prime Minister of Australia, and His Excellency Mr Qiang, Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China. There are 5 documents to be signed today. Once the documents are signed, I ask that the signatories stand and then exchange the documents and move behind the table for official photographs. The first document is a Memorandum of Understanding on China-Australia Strategic Economic Dialogue. The document will be signed by Mr Liu Sushe, Vice Chairman of the National Development and Reform Commission, and the Honourable Jim Chalmers, Treasurer. Thank you. The second document is the Memorandum of Understanding on further enhancing the implementation of China-Australia Free Trade Agreement in 2024-25. The document will be signed by Mr Wang Wentao, Minister of Commerce, and Senator the Honourable Don Farrell, Minister for Trade and Tourism. Thank you. The third document to be signed is the Memorandum of Understanding on Cooperation in Education and Research. The document will be signed by His Excellency Mr Qiang, Ambassador of the People's Republic of China to Australia, and the Honourable Jason Clare, Minister for Education. Thank you. The fourth document is the Memorandum of Understanding on Climate Change Cooperation. The document will be signed by His Excellency Mr Qiang, the Ambassador, and the Honourable Chris Bowen MP, Minister for Climate Change and Energy. Thank you. The fifth document is the Memorandum of Understanding on the 15th Implementation Program for Cultural Exchanges from the year 2024 to 2027 under the 1981 Agreement on Cultural Cooperation. The document will be again signed by His Excellency Mr Qiang, the Ambassador, and the Honourable Tony Burke MP, Minister for the Arts. Thank you. 6 other arrangements have already been finalised to implement the Statement of Joint Outcomes of the China-Australia Annual Leaders Meeting in November 2023 that will see increased practical cooperation between Australia and China. These are in the areas of competition, standards, measurement, intellectual property, food safety and boosting traveller numbers between Australia and China. Thank you, and can I now invite the leaders to the lecterns.
Well, thank you very much, and firstly a very warm welcome to Premier Lee to Canberra. My visit to China last year was an important one for our relationship, so I'm very pleased to be returning the hospitality that I received in Beijing and Shanghai on a visit that celebrated the 50th anniversary of the recognition of relations between our two great nations. Premier Lee is the first Chinese Premier to visit Australia since 2017. His visit is a substantial one, taking in 3 cities and touching on issues right across our relationship. We had a constructive discussion today at our annual leaders meeting, building on our annual meeting last year in Beijing. My government has put dialogue at the centre of Australia's relationship with China, because it is always most effective when we deal directly with each other. That's how we make progress on our shared interests and protect regional stability. Without dialogue, we can't address any of the differences that arise between us. Australia and China have renewed and revitalised our engagement. We've agreed across a range of MOUs and arrangements today that will continue to shape and drive our practical cooperation as we continue the process of stabilising the relationship. This includes a framework for us to work together to tackle climate change. Both our countries are undergoing energy transitions and investing in renewable energy. We will get better outcomes for our people if we work together and learn from each other as we make those important changes. We've agreed an MOU on education and research, building on a long shared history in this area, including through exchange of students. We've also agreed on several arrangements to deepen our economic, trade and investment relationship through dialogue on economic issues and work under our free trade agreement, and we committed to deepening our cultural links. Trade supports 1 in 4 Australian jobs, and China remains overwhelmingly Australia's largest trading partner. Australian farmers, miners and exporters are already seeing the benefits from the removal of trade impediments, benefits that flow throughout our economy. Chinese consumers too are benefiting from being able to buy our high-quality exports. Trade between our two nations will continue to help Australian businesses grow. Interest in the Adelaide Zoo will no doubt grow as well. and I welcome Premier Lee's offer of new pandas, who I am sure will be good diplomats for China in South Australia and for the entire nation. China is, of course, a regional and global power. It has a vital role to play in keeping our region open, stable and prosperous. We also exchange views today on our region and the world, building our understanding of our respective positions and perspectives. Australia advocates that we should all work together to promote a regional balance where no country dominates and no country is dominated. A region where countries large and small operate by the same rules that we have all had a say in shaping. I've made it clear, as nations with different histories, political systems and values, we will cooperate with China where we can, disagree where we must and engage in the national interest. Premier Lee, our discussions today have only strengthened my view that it's crucial for us to engage with each other. Given how close we are geographically, how interconnected we are economically, and the deep and enduring bonds between our people. As you know, I'm determined to keep growing our relationship where we can, and that includes the personal relationship between us as leaders who we've now met not just in Australia and China, but in India and other countries on the sidelines of those international forums. As I mentioned in our meeting today, we have a lot to do and a lot to look forward to. I want to thank you for taking the time to travel here and see the breadth of our great country. I know you have been here before, but once again, a very warm welcome to you here in Australia.
Thank you.
The Honourable Prime Minister Anthony Albanese, friends from the media, it gives me great pleasure to pay an official visit to Australia at the invitation of Prime Minister Albanese on the occasion of the 10th anniversary of President Xi Jinping's state visit to Australia and the comprehensive strategic partnership between our two countries, and to have the 9th annual leaders meeting with Prime Minister Albanese. In less than 1 year, Prime Minister Albanese and I have met multiple times and exchanged visits to each other's country. This shows that both countries attach great importance to our relationship and that this relationship is on the right track of steady improvement and development. Just now, Prime Minister Albanese and I had a candid, in-depth and fruitful meeting and reached a lot of consensus. We both agreed to uphold the right characterization of our bilateral relationship and consolidate its momentum of improvement and development. We reaffirmed our commitment to defining this relationship as a comprehensive strategic partnership, to mutual respect and trust, and to viewing and handling this relationship in a positive attitude. The two sides agreed to maintain high-level interactions, strengthen exchanges between the legislatures, government departments and political parties, and fully resume various areas of institutional dialogues and bring their role into full play. We also had a candid exchange of views on some differences and disagreements and agreed to properly manage them in a manner befitting our comprehensive strategic partnership. We both stand for expanding mutually beneficial cooperation and enhancing the vitality and durability of China-Australia relations. This relationship is essentially characterized by mutual benefit and win-win results. The two sides just signed a number of cooperation documents on trade, education, climate change, culture and intellectual property. We will make good use of such dialogue mechanisms such as the Strategic Economic Dialogue, the Joint Ministerial Economic Commission and the Free Trade Agreement Joint Committee to address each other's economic and trade concerns and provide a fair, open and non-discriminatory business environment for our companies. We will leverage our respective strengths to expand cooperation in energy, mining, new energy vehicles, green development and digital economy. Both sides are committed to maintaining the WTO-centered and multilateral rules-based trading system, jointly keep global industry and supply chain stable, advancing the implementation of RCEP and promoting regional economic integration. China hopes that Australia will support Hong Kong's RCEP accession. China welcomes Australia as the guest country of honor for the China International Fair for Trading Services 2025. We both support strengthening people-to-people ties and cement popular support for our bilateral relations. The two sides will strengthen exchanges and cooperation in science and technology, culture, sports, education, academia, aviation, health, tourism, and at the subnational level. China will continue its cooperation with Australia on giant panda conservation and research, and will provide a pair of younger giant pandas to Adelaide Zoo, so that they will continue to serve as a bridge of friendship between the two peoples. The two sides will hold the 10th meeting of the Joint Science and Technology Commission and the 8th high-level dialogue in due course in Australia. We agreed to provide each other with reciprocal access to 5-year and multiple entry visas for tourism, business, and visiting family members, so as to better facilitate personal exchanges. China will also include Australia in its visa waiver program. We both stressed the importance of maintaining communication and coordination to jointly safeguard peace, stability, and prosperity in the region and beyond. In order to safeguard regional peace and development, which best serves the common interests of all countries, China and Australia will continue our coordination and cooperation at the United Nations, G20, APEC, and other multilateral platforms. Both sides care about and support the development of Pacific Island countries, and will step up communication and dialogue to explore ways to better help their development. The two sides will strengthen policy communication on climate change and will hold the 8th Ministerial Dialogue on Climate Change in Australia this year. At present, China is striving for its modernization in all respects through high-quality development. A growing and more open China will bring more opportunities for win-win cooperation to Australia and the rest of the world. China will work with Australia in a spirit of mutual respect, seeking common ground while shelving differences and mutual benefit, to build a more mature, stable, and fruitful, comprehensive strategic partnership, so as to bring more benefits to our two peoples. Thank you, Prime Minister. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Welcome to the Great Hall of Australia's Parliament House for this lunch in honour of His Excellency Mr Li Qiang, Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China. I would now like to invite Auntie Serena Williams, Ngunnawal Elder and Custodian, to deliver a welcome to country.
Thank you. First of all, I would like to say, Anying, Anying. Welcome, welcome to this beautiful country here in Ngunnawal country. I'd like to acknowledge our Honourable Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, and the Australian delegation with you today, and your beautiful fiancée, Jodie. I'd also like to acknowledge the Premier of the States Council of People's Republic in China, Premier Li, and his delegation with him today. A welcome to country is used and is the oldest protocol in the world of people coming together but acknowledging one's business when they do come to country. And I'd like to acknowledge that business that Australia and China have. I'd like to also acknowledge both Aboriginal oral histories and archaeological record shows that Chinese drove Australia's first global trade in the Asia-Pacific well before the first fleet's arrival. Oral histories tell the direct contact between the Chinese, the Kimberley and the Yolong people up in Arnhem Land. This was done with sea cucumber, with the Masakan people that come from Indonesia to take over to China for medicines and as a delicacy. We as Aboriginal people believe in maintaining respectful relationships, and we would like to show you our respectful relationship with doing a proper welcome to country in our way of the oldest living culture here on Ngunnawal country. And before I do that, I'd also like to acknowledge any other Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander people in the room today, particularly my long-term brother, Rotary brother Duncan Smith, who has been a part of this community for a very long time. I believe in respectful relationships, and I believe in this government, and I believe in the relationship between Australia and China. And I say in my language, acknowledging my elders past, present and future, I say, Yumalandi Yeramura Narawaldura. Hello, come. I will sweep the lands for you to leave your footprints here on beautiful Ngunnawal country. Najan, the water of the Royal, the Murrumbidgee, the Molonglo and the Gudgeonbee, that will cleanse you of all harm. And Malian. Malian is the wedge-tailed eagle, the totem of the Ngunnawal people, and she will guide, protect and oversee you here on your journey. Here on beautiful Ngunnawal country, on behalf of myself, other Ngunnawal elders and Ngunnawal family groups, I welcome you here to the beautiful land of Ngunnawal. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you, Auntie Serena. May I remind you that the toasts will be after the entree and the speeches will be after the main course. And I would now like to invite the official party to take their seats. Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? Ladies and gentlemen, may I remind you that translation is available on the headsets on the table in front of you. May I now invite the Honourable Anthony Albanese, Prime Minister of Australia, to come to the lectern.
Well, thank you very much, and I begin by acknowledging the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting today and pay my respect to elders past, present and emerging, and I thank Aunty Serena for that wonderful welcome to country that we received. As she said, Mr Premier, it is the world's oldest welcoming ceremony from the oldest continuous culture on earth, and it is something that we are very proud of here in Australia. It is my honour to welcome you, Your Excellency Premier Li Qiang, the Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, and to welcome all of the distinguished guests who join us here today, including my ministerial colleagues, Peter Dutton, the Leader of the Opposition, other distinguished guests, leaders of the business community, the academic community, the defence community and the trade union movement, who are all here joining us to commemorate what is a very historic visit. Premier Li, it is an honour to represent the government and the people of Australia as your host, and it is a pleasure to reciprocate the extraordinary generosity with which I was welcomed to Shanghai and China 1 year ago. It was my 7th visit to China, but my first as Australia's Prime Minister, and it was an important opportunity to advance the engagement between our two great nations. I have long believed that ongoing dialogue is beneficial. Whatever the issue, it is always better if we deal direct with each other. And consistent, steady engagement helps build and maintain stability across our entire region, a region undergoing change and growth that matters to us both. What connects our nations today and will into the future goes beyond our economic opportunities and the dynamic region that we are both a part of. The ties between our people are at the heart of it. Just as diplomacy and economic cooperation adds to our prosperity, our human links add to the connection between our nations. And that's why our personal relationship is so important. In the meetings and candid discussions we have had in China, in Australia and on the sidelines of other forums as well. Our people share an exchange of ideas and culture in many fields of endeavour, including trade, tourism, education and the diaspora. As you know, the Chinese-Australian community is a powerhouse of innovation, creativity and drive. Thanks to migration that began at the dawn of the 19th century, Australia is now home to 1.4 million people of Chinese ancestry. These diverse communities are an important part of the story of our modern nation. So it is important and fitting that you have joined us here in Australia's Parliament House, a place that represents so much of who we are as a nation. Near where we are gathered now, a pair of ceremonial stone lions stand sentinel at the entrance to a formal garden. Carved from Han marble, they were a gift from China to commemorate the opening of Parliament House here in Australia's bicentennial year in 1988. This Parliament, the seat of our democracy, is fundamentally a place of dialogue, where we recognise the importance of engaging with each other as we discuss competing views and work to find shared opportunities. Premier Lee, our recent efforts to engage in a dialogue on the issues affecting our people, our countries and our region have been most welcome, including, of course, this morning's wide-ranging discussion. When I saw you and President Xi in Beijing, I spoke about stabilising our relationship. It is a relationship in which we must always be ready to engage with each other as mature nations. There is much that remains to be done, but it is clear that our nations are making progress in stabilising and rebuilding that crucial dialogue. We won't always agree, and the points in which we disagree won't simply disappear if we leave them in silence. We share an interest in protecting a stable order in the region. We share a responsibility to build and strengthen the foundation for talking through our differences and for building collaboration in areas where we find mutual interest. Creating channels of dialogue and building understanding is how we make it possible for benefits to flow across business, across trade, across education. Importantly, dealing with the challenge of climate change, but also the opportunities that acting on climate change bring for Australia, for China and for the world. In culture and the arts, all are represented in this room today. Premier Lee, let us continue to work towards a productive relationship in our national interests, a secure and stable region, a peaceful and prosperous future for our children. So allow me to once again welcome you to Australia and invite everyone to join me in a toast to the President and the People's Republic of China. To the President and the people of the People's Republic of China.
Thank you, Prime Minister. I now invite the Honourable Peter Dutton MP, Leader of the Opposition, to speak.
Prime Minister, thank you very much for your fine words. Can I acknowledge you and Jodie Hayden as well, to ministerial and parliamentary colleagues, to Your Excellency, thank you very much to you and your delegation. You are most welcome here as dear friends and guests, and to all of the distinguished guests gathered today, I hope it sends to you, Premier, a very clear message of how we regard the relationship and how we intend to continue to work with you. Echoing the sentiments of Prime Minister Albanese, and on behalf of the Coalition and the Federal Opposition, I do welcome you most sincerely to Australia's great Parliament. We dine together today to acknowledge the Australia-China bilateral relationship. Citizens are at the centre of any bilateral relationship, so through you, Your Excellency, I convey the Coalition's warm wishes to the people of China. When President Deng chose to open up the Chinese economy in 1978, he didn't just change a nation. He also changed the face of the Chinese people, with hundreds of millions of citizens lifted out of poverty. In the decades that followed, as nations witnessed and welcomed China's economic emergence, the Australian and Chinese people created many new pipelines of business, trade and migration. Indeed, just the other day, it was reported that China's need for Australia's quality thermal coal has generated electricity for thousands of your citizens and generated thousands of jobs here in Australia. And that is just one of many examples of how both our peoples benefit from these enduring pipelines. Your Excellency, in acknowledging the achievement of the Chinese people, I also take this opportunity to celebrate Australians of Chinese ancestry. Not only the migrants from China who have become first-generation Australians, but also the second, third and subsequent generations of Australians of Chinese ancestry. They've helped to build our nation. They've succeeded in many fields of endeavour. They cherish Australia, and as our fellow Australians, we cherish them. Your Excellency, in our offer of hospitality today and your acceptance of it, I believe that there is hope, hope that tensions of recent years can ameliorate, hope that we can reinvigorate the constructive spirit which defined our signing of a free trade agreement in 2015. Citizens across both of our countries share aspirations for peace and prosperity, for themselves and, of course, for their families. In pursuit of these aspirations, we have a responsibility to ensure that all engagements between our two countries are conducted with due care. Similarly, we should always use our influence to deter other nations who initiate conflict or sponsor terrorism. Your Excellency, I look forward to engaging with you during our meeting this afternoon in a spirit of hope and speaking honestly about recent events. Our children here in Australia and, of course, in China, in the region and around the world, must look back on this era as one where political leaders, equipped with hindsight and foresight, chose stability and peace. That is the only path to forge prosperity anew and shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr Dutton. I now invite His Excellency Mr Li Qiang, Premier of the State Council of the People's Republic of China, to speak to us.
Madam Jody, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to the Australian side for this welcoming ceremony that features a long history and also great cultures. It gives me great pleasure to visit Australia and join friends old and new to renew our friendship and explore cooperation. Just now, Mr. Prime Minister and Mr. Dutton gave heartwarming toasts. I'd like to extend sincere gratitude to the Australian side for the thoughtful arrangements and kind hospitality to me and the Chinese delegation. On behalf of the Chinese delegation, I would like to extend sincere and best wishes for everyone here and those who have been following and supporting the development of China-Australia relations. From Adelaide to Canberra, in the past 2 days, although the time isn't very long, the unique landscape, friendly people, diverse cultures, and dynamic economy of Australia have left me a very deep impression. And I'm deeply touched by the good wish for steady and robust development of China-Australia relations across the Australian society. Both China and Australia are great countries. Over the past 50-plus years, mutual respect and mutual beneficial cooperation have always been the defining feature of the development of our bilateral relations. Chinese people and Australian people are great peoples. During my visit, I see that the Australian people, like the Chinese people, are industrious, brave, and wise. They generally support China-Australia friendship, look forward to both countries strengthening cooperation, and wish for world peace and prosperity. Facts in the past 50 years of diplomatic ties have proven that the choice of our two peoples was right. I believe with the support of both peoples, we'll see heartening progress in the future development of our bilateral relations. China-Australia friendship is crucial for the well-being of both peoples. Currently, China is advancing Chinese modernization in all respects through high-quality development. Australia is working hard to achieve greater national development. We share broad cooperation space and great potential. As comprehensive strategic partners, China and Australia need to consolidate the foundation of trust and strengthen mutually beneficial cooperation to achieve common development hand in hand and realize our respective dreams through close coordination. At the new starting point at the 10th anniversary of our comprehensive strategic partnership, I look forward to working in unison with Australian friends so as to deepen our friendly cooperation and jointly create a better future for both countries and bring more benefits to both peoples. Thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That concludes today's formalities.